You know, as a child growing up, I remember going to my very first funeral. And I got to tell you, the hardest thing for me wasn't the initial shock or news that the person had passed away. It wasn't going to the wake to see all the family members in mourning, to view the body one last time. It wasn't going to the actual funeral to hear the pastor deliver the eulogy. The hardest thing for me with every funeral was the procession to the gravesite. To watch those 6 pallbearers firmly grasp that casket and lay it down next to that open grave. Because it's in that moment, and that moment only, that there's a sense of finality that comes about. Where no matter how bad I want things to change, it's pretty much done at this point. There's nothing that can change the outcome. And when I first came up with this idea and this concept, I want to deliver it because I feel like a lot of folks are going through a funeral of their own in some sort of sense of the word. Now, I'm not speaking along the lines of you going through a physical funeral. There's a few of my close friends that are going through physical funerals right now. But some of you guys are going through funerals in other arenas. Some of you guys are in relationships that you've been in for months, weeks, years, and all suddenly out of nowhere, the other person decides to call it quits. And you've been stuck in a season of mourning where you can't move forward. Some of you guys have been working at jobs for years, and out of nowhere, the job just lets you go, whether it was a layoff or whether they fired you, and now you're stuck in this sense of mourning because you're not able to get past the fact of what just transpired. Some of you guys are going through financial hardship where you've lost the house to foreclosure. You've been forced to downsize. Maybe you have to move back home with family or friends, or maybe to downsize from a 3 or 4 bedroom house into a 2-bedroom apartment or a 1-bedroom apartment. And you're stuck in this transition period of mourning. And I want to give you a word of encouragement to get over it. Now, when I first came up with this message, I was thinking, what's the best way to deliver it so it makes sense? And I thought about something that happened to me in my childhood, guys. Back when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I remember Dad asking me to go with him to one of his rental properties to help him clean it out. He had just evicted the tenant. And to be upfront with you, I didn't want to give up my Saturday and do it, but I love my dad, so I went along with him. Now, as we went down the road about 10 minutes, we came to the realization that he left his wallet at home. And the gas light on the car just happened to come on. So as we pull into the gas station, he looks at me and says, "Do you have any money on you?" Well, I just so happened to have $5 on me. Guys, my birthday was about a week prior, and I had this $5 bill, and in my mind, that money was already set aside for this G.I. Joe figure that I desperately wanted. And so I was at an apex moment where I could have lied and said I didn't have anything on me because I know how bad I wanted the toy, or I can be obedient to my father's wishes and go ahead and give him the $5 bill, which I did. Now, as I sat in that house working for about 6 hours, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was quiet as a mouse. It wasn't that I was angry, it wasn't that I was upset or mad. Guys, I was going through a spirit of mourning. My feelings were hurt, I was crushed. In my mind, I knew what I wanted to do with that $5, and out of nowhere, here I am, just kind of reluctantly giving it up. I mean, how unfair was that? I didn't cause the situation, I didn't cause him to leave his wallet behind. I got put to a situation that wasn't of my own making. And so as he made the trip back home, I was quiet all the way home. Later on that night, before getting ready for bed, he called me down to the kitchen, told me to put out my hand, and he gave me this crisp $20 bill. And as he laid it in my palm, he said, "Thank you." You know, when I got upstairs to my bedroom, it was kind of surreal because I thought about it in context. I was so reluctant to give him that $5 bill, but how much easier would it have been if I knew I had a brand new 20 waiting on it? I mean, the transition would have been easy to give up the 5 in order to get the 20. See, the reason why I want to give you this message is because some of you guys are stuck in this state of mourning where God is telling you to close the casket on that relationship, to let it go. And you're stuck in a spirit of mourning where you won't close the casket because you don't think there's something else out there better for you. The job has let you go, and you're holding on to the job and that title because you don't trust God enough that he has something out there better for you. You know you need to relocate from your position. Your gifts and talents are not being showcased where you are, but you're afraid to move and leave behind family, friends, and loved ones because you don't believe a change of scenery is going to be better for you than where you are now. Is it time for you to close the casket on some of the things in your life? I want you to really think about that this week as you move forward. Where are the arenas where you need to shut the casket, say your final goodbyes, and move forward? Because oftentimes in life, you have to be willing to give up what you think is good in order to go after what's great. Are you willing to change your $5 bill for God's 20?